Hey, welcome to another episode of Three Conservative Gimps, where we give you the information that you need to make a good decision at the ballot box. Wow. We've got an interesting show because of the events that unfolded yesterday afternoon. So let's get this show going and let's welcome the man who's never mundane, but he is pernicious sometimes. Let's welcome Lloyd Mendenhall.
Hey, Art, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Good. And how's the weather in your neck of the woods?
Hot and muggy.
Yeah, well, it's just hot here. I
Yeah,
think
well,
we had another day of 100 degrees.
I don't know if we hit 100 yet, but the damn humidity is
Yeah.
We're about we're in the 90s, but I was just going to check the humidity.
Okay.
Yeah, 46%. That's just too much. That's not bad, but it's still just enough to be muggy.
Yeah, well, here it's hot and dry, and well, I know Friday we broke a 50-year record, got up to 102 degrees, and I think we got up to 100 yesterday, pretty close to it. I think today we got pretty close to 100 as well. So let's welcome all the way from the blue state of New York, the dulcet tones of Charles. Welcome.
Greetings, Art. Greetings, Lloyd, and those in the chat.
What?
Can't hear you.
Are you on the wrong mic? Yeah, you sound like you're on a different mic than what you normally would use.
Yeah. Yeah, is it plugged in?
Better? Is that any better? No.
Yeah. That's better.
That's better.
Yeah.
Whew. What a day yesterday.
Well, I really blew. You said I had dulcet tones, so I really sort of, put on my 1940s announcer's voice kind of thing, and that got blown out of the water by this stupid microphone debacle.
Cool Cat says you're super quiet. You are a tad low. You need to.
Yeah, but you're better than you were. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're using the right mic. I can tell it's whatever mic it flipped to. So yeah.
Where Bill was having problems with his audio because one I guess the thing that he has the mic going through, the drivers updated and it just screwed up everything because he would be talking and all of a sudden his volume drops, then it goes up, and then it was terrible.
Who was that? Bill?
Figured it out and got work.
Yeah.
How about now?
Oh, better.
There you go.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Good.
Yeah.
So, wow, we're already getting a good crowd in. Let's say hello to everybody. We got TJ of TJ Giggles FPV, Jay Bird, Joey, and Michael Cool Cat, and we got Ronnie, God bless America, and we got Grant, which is Mr. S, and we got Michael. Ted's Arch drone guy, and who else?
Captain Joe America.
Captain Joe America, USA Drone Flyer. Great.
And Waypoint, New England, Brian.
Brian, good to see you.
Yeah.
So, a lot of stuff happening. Now it's looking most likely, but I'm not going to, say he's definitely going to win. He's got probably a 75% chance of winning. But never discount the cheating the Democrats might pull.
Well, that's true.
Yep. So yesterday we had an assassination attempt on President Trump, and sadly a bystander was killed and 2 others seriously wounded. And so the shooter's name is Thomas Matthew Crutz, 20 years old, and he's from Pennsylvania. He's from that area. And the weapon he used is an AR style weapon, which happens to belong to his father. So,
Oh, okay. Is that where he got it from?
yes.
Well, yeah, I don't think I've seen some speculation on the background. Of course, he was one of the first things they announced was that he's a registered Republican.
All right. Well, that's a good point you bring up. Just earlier today, you remember the older millennial. He's a content creator on YouTube, TikTok, and Instagram. And he explained that whole scenario because I guess a couple election cycles, this guy donated money to Act Blue, which is a liberal organization. And one of their projects was to get registered Democrats to change to Republican so they could mess up the primary system. So,
that makes perfectly good sense. I mean, and it kind of steers away from that this guy was a radical Democrat, with Trump derangement syndrome. They this is the perfect patsy for something like that. And by all means, let's change his registration, so that he's not, so it doesn't look bad on us. We wanted to do.
He's the one that changed it.
Right,
so
right. That's what I mean. This guy needs to change his, So it's to me, it was just
well, you make it sound like our side changed his registration.
No. That's not what I meant at all. No, it's the first thing the media did was jump on the fact that he was a Republican.
Mm-hmm.
Then, as you were saying, they're trying to get these young people. The Democrats are trying to get these young people to switch their party affiliation so that they can
they could vote in the
primaries and mess things up. And that is a good, that's a plausible idea because, I mean, if you're going to be somebody that follows under these, lunatics, these millennial lunatics that are out there, you would want, I mean, if you were a bad guy and if you were part of the party that they really supported, the Democrats, you would want them not to be associated with you. You'd want them to be associated with the Republicans. So that to me is just, him being a Republican has nothing to do with anything. I was, for 30 years here in Oklahoma, I was a registered Democrat. I've always voted Republican. We didn't have anybody who ever ran as a Republican for the first 30 years I lived here,
Right.
So,
and here in Colorado, we have open primaries where you could choose which primary you want to vote in. Say, I'm registered. Well, you have to be unaffiliated to do that, though.
Right.
So that allows unaffiliated to either vote in either party's primary. To me, it's like a nothing burger. I mean, really, is it going to change our candidate that much? I don't think so. Yeah. So to answer TJ's point, the flag is upside down. The reason I have it upside down is because that is a symbol that the country is in distress. And whenever you see the American flag upside down, that means distress.
Yeah.
So, and other countries do that as well. But it'd be confusing. The French flag, which is red, white, and blue.
Yeah.
I guess the blue would be on the bottom and the red on top. So anyway, getting back to this point. So there are pundits on the left that are trying to say, "Oh, he's a Republican." No, no, not really.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's only 20 years old. How long was he a Democrat? He probably changed that just recently.
He just registered 2 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, when he turned 18.
Right.
You know, so and he voted in a state election because he was too young to vote in the last presidential election. So,
Right.
but the earmarks are there that this guy was. I mean, unless he's one of those really bad, one of those really, you know, crazy crazies that is an anti-Trumper and a Republican. But those people have kind of, you know, they've gone hiding back into the woodwork. You know, they're not showing themselves. But so, you know, it was like, I couldn't believe that, you know, the fact that, you know, to me, that was a nothing, you know. He's a kid. He's 20 years old, you know.
Yeah, that's right. And
never voted in a presidential election.
Right. And I think we could say that a lot of this has to do with the rhetoric that has been coming from the liberal media, the politicians. I mean, even Biden, he just made a statement a few days ago saying we need to put a target on Donald Trump.
Yeah, on Trump's back.
It's that kind of shit that you know, some
allows these crazies
actually,
to come out. Yeah.
Yeah. And when you've been saying how Trump is Hitler for the last 8 years, well, and you make him out to be this monster, which he's not.
No.
You know, you got idiots like Robert De Niro saying, "Oh, he's never going to leave office." Well, he did in 2020.
Yeah.
You know, not that he wanted to, but
no.
I mean, this is where this crap needs to stop. We need to have both sides tone down the rhetoric. Stop saying, you know, he's a, you know, Hitler, or he's going to take your rights away.
Let's discuss the issues. You know, let's discuss the candidates' ability to do their job. Let's discuss what happened. And we're in a perfect place. We've got a former president and a sitting president. Look at the way how you lived before Biden came into office. Look at how you're living now.
That's right.
You know, and was our country better off 4 years ago? Yeah.
Yeah.
It truly was.
Yeah.
But
and we survived the pandemic.
The pandemic, yeah.
I think that was a major factor that screwed up Donald Trump.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. He took part of what happened with Trump in this last time was he thought he knew the people that were advising him better than, and he turned out there was a lot of them that are that, you know, they were just bad apples, and he took advice from the wrong people, and you know. But you know, that said and done, somebody put up there, he said, I can't remember who I just saw did it, but they only had one building. Let's see, Jaybird put it up there. There was only one building out there. How is it that was not picked? That should have been the high point.
Yep.
And they could have been on the building that the Secret Service, where the snipers are the anti-snipers were at. They could have been on that building, looking the crowd that direction for something coming this way, and they should have been on that other building, overlooking the crowd from the other side. They weren't doing they missed. This was such as, you know, of course they're saying, well, they were understaffed. Okay, well, somebody had to have made, you know, how does a guy walk up with a gun, and a ladder.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He needed a ladder to get up
He
on.
brought the ladder to put up. How did that come about? It's like, oh my God,
Mm-hmm.
what the hell? How does this happen? How like, and of course there was a police officer that did go up there, was listening to the people, because there were people yelling, "That guy's got a gun! That guy's got a gun!" And this cop goes up the ladder, and the bad guy, the shooter, points a gun at him, threatens to blow his head off. They should have been on the radio calling the Secret Service right then and there.
Right. Mm-hmm.
This was a total Charlie Foxtrot of communications, lack of preparedness. Just
well, and they were very lucky that Trump wasn't killed.
It was just a turn of his head. That's the only thing that saved him.
Yep.
And,
because
he turned his head and they caught the edge of his ear.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So
it went through the ear. You could, if you look at it up close, you can see where it went through and kind of splattered out the back.
Right.
That far from losing a really. This guy does not have to be doing this.
Yes, he doesn't have to do that.
He does not have to do this.
He's got enough money. He doesn't need this crap. But he loves this country, and he really hates to see what's going on.
He could sell all of his holdings right now, board a private jet, and be out of the country and never look back.
Mm-hmm.
You know? He could say, screw it, I'm not.
Yep. Now, one of my comedian friends, Steve McGrew, who is a staunch conservative, he thinks it was an inside job. And I don't know. I think it was just a total lack on the Secret Service.
Michael Wright puts up something. He says the state police stated that since the location was outside the interior perimeter, it was totally legal to carry a rifle per the state open carry law. That may be true, but that thing was 150 yards away.
Yeah,
less than a football field away. Just a little over a football field and a half away.
Yep.
They should, and that was the only damn building sitting over there. That thing should have been secured. I think. Yeah. I'm not going to say that the Democrats did it, but I think what has happened is their rhetoric.
Yes,
and their Trump derangement syndrome. Mm-hmm. They are so, they spew out so much vitriol. They're so angry, and they just don't know what to do. And of course, good thing for Biden is it looks like that he's probably going to be the nominee. I think they've come to the conclusion that we're probably not going to win this one. Let's just burn Biden off now and get him out of the way.
Yeah. I think if they do anything, it's just going to really compound the mess that they're in right now. And I think it's getting very likely that he's going to be the nominee. Their convention is next month. So,
I thought of something else. It was in reference to that building up there. They used to have helicopters that would fly patrols.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Why was that not available?
How about drones?
Or drones. Yeah, they've got drones.
They had a drone with the infrared on it, flying around and, around the perimeter.
You're right, Ronnie. Yeah, there was he doesn't have supporters. He has Trump haters, and that's it.
Yep.
this is I've heard more nastiness and hatred come out of the from the left than I ever did, from the right. And
Right.
it's like this has got to quit. I mean, you and I talked before the show how much we've lived through and remember. I remember when John Kennedy was assassinated.
Yeah.
I remember every bit of that. I remember the funeral. I remember the whole thing. I remember Bobby Kennedy because he was shot the day after my sister died and then died the next morning.
Right.
I remember Martin Luther King.
Yep.
I made a comment that I've always regretted when I heard about it, and my parents were smart enough to smack the shit out of me for saying it, and it stuck in my head. And at that point, from that point on, I made sure I was just a young man
Right.
when that happened, and it was. We've just seen so much of this. Reagan. That's another thing I wonder. They showed yesterday, I think it was, what's her name? Megyn Kelly.
Megyn Kelly. I watched part of her.
Yeah, she had a thing, and they showed from the time that first shot was heard, and Trump does this, looks down, and he dives. He hit the deck. Okay.
Right.
Then you sit there and you go, 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi, and you're going like, where the hell is the Secret Service? And finally, they just like sprang out of nowhere, like, oh, here we are. We were on a smoke break. Sorry, And then they were trying to get him out, and it was a total Charlie Foxtrot. Their exit plan was terrible.
Mm-hmm.
Then she goes over and she showed Ronald Reagan and the Hinckley shooting. And I watched it, and between the time that it took the Secret Service to get up and cover Trump from any other shooters that might be there, in between that time, well, when Reagan was shot, he was in the door and the car was driving off.
Mm-hmm.
Probably in less than 10 seconds. It was that quick. Now, mind you, he was starting to get into the car, but they just threw him in there and ran. And that's what to me, it just shows how either ill prepared. Now, unfortunately, every one of these Secret Service agents will probably be reassigned.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because you don't walk away from something like this. That's such a total screw up,
Mm-hmm.
We were just very, very fortunate we didn't lose Donald Trump.
Yeah, we are. And so, yep, that's right. And I watched about a third of Megyn Kelly's show, and it was a long one. It was almost 2 hours long.
Yeah.
So I watched a third of it, and I go, holy crap, it's getting late. I got to go to bed.
Yeah.
And it was good. She had some good people on.
She had some good guests on there. Yeah, like Joey says, imagine if that was Obama.
Yes, that's right. And she brought that up as well. And the other side would be blaming us for the rhetoric.
Oh, yeah. And they're even, and this shows the lunacy of the leftist publications out there, the journalists, media. That was the word I was looking for. The leftist media. They're trying to blame Donald Trump for being shot by somebody.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I mean, what's usually the worst you hear about where Trump is talking about Biden? He calls him Sleeping Joe or Lying Joe.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. He doesn't call him Hitler or Stalin or Lenin. He doesn't call him, Muammar Gaddafi.
Muammar Gaddafi or
he doesn't use names like that.
Who was the leader of Cambodia? Was that Sihanouk?
Who? No, it was
CNN,
God. Who was the leader? It was the Cameron Rouge.
Khmer Rouge, and Pol
Yeah,
Pot. Yeah, that's the
Pol Pot.
word.
Yeah, I
Pol
knew it was
Pot.
something pot, and I thought it was
Yeah.
Pol Pot, but I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Sihanouk was he's the he's the king of Cambodia, and he was reinstalled after
yeah. Pol
overthrowing.
Pot. Yeah. Thank you,
Yes.
Dominic.
Pol Pot. Yep.
Yeah, and they're trying to say that this was staged.
Right.
Just
Yeah.
did this? So if that's the case, did that fireman volunteer to get shot? I don't think so.
Yeah. That's
This
right.
is, to say it was staged by Trump's people. There's no way. That's the most, and it just shows that their laziness and their ignorance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know?
And to a point, did you notice Obama made a statement before Biden made a
Yeah,
statement?
yeah.
And it's like, wait a minute, that goes to show you he's the one running the country.
Well, exactly. And all of the statements that came out were virtually a repeat of what Obama was saying. They had to get their marching orders from Obama before they could
Yeah.
they had to get their marching orders from the boss before they could make a statement.
Right.
There's no way a former president would in any other time.
Right.
And that's the other thing. They're always talking about when it's somebody who's a liberal or a Democrat or somebody who's left of center, and people get shot, or a minority or something like that, and they get shot. They say we got to have gun control.
Yeah. Yeah. How long did it take before that happened? Not
I haven't
very
heard
long.
it yet. Well, yeah, but they're not pushing it. Usually they're just raising hell about it. But now there is one thing. There is one thing. The guy, the congressman who called for Donald Trump to be stripped of his Secret Service. He introduced a bill to strip Donald Trump of his Secret Service. Because he'd been convicted. He hadn't been sentenced yet.
Okay.
But
but he's
and the bill didn't go anywhere because it was in the House.
okay.
That guy had to fire one of his advisors or aides because she said, you need to, I'm against violence of any kind, but you need to take shooting lessons so you don't miss next time.
Ooh. Oh my. Wow.
She's fired. She is no longer employed with him. And he's coming back. I suspect he may not win re-election.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think quite a few congressmen and senators will not win re-election.
Yeah, I think they're worried about it.
I've been following some of the pollsters on YouTube. These are right of center people that show the electoral map, and then after that, it shows Trump with 430 electoral votes, which is going to be a landslide that we haven't seen since Ronald Reagan.
Yeah.
And they showed Colorado being flipped red. And I think this whole thing is going to affect a lot of down ballot races. And I think there's going to be at least 2 congressmen or congresswoman and a congressman that's going to lose their seats in Colorado. And that would be Brittany Pedersen, who's a freshman congresswoman from CD 7, and Yadira Caravello of CD 8. I think that will take that seat. That's a toss-up seat. And CD 7, which is Jason Crow, he was the the head. Oh, who the hell is calling? Oh, that was just one ring. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, Jason Crow, he's the guy that he was the head honcho in the first Trump impeachment.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think there's going to be a lot of seats that are going to flip red, and I think Trump will have he may have a sizable margin in both houses. So if that happens, I hope he doesn't screw around and jumps on and says, "All right, we got to get this done in 2 years," because we don't know what's going to happen. The last 2 years
Right.
of his
Right, exactly.
presidency. And he needs to do a lot of stuff. And I hope one of the things, well, he says he's going to eliminate a lot of the regulations and allow drilling in this country so that we could be energy independent again.
Yeah.
Finish the Keystone Pipeline, and also do some house cleaning in the FBI, CIA, State Department. Don't fire everybody, because there's a lot of really good, mid-level people.
Well, they're going to have to get rid of the political appointees and
Yes.
the political those that have come out one way or that, because we have a justice system that is no longer serving justice.
Mhm. Yes, the DOJ, and also hopefully we get some amendments added, like term limits for Congress.
That would be
Balanced
nice.
and change the way we hold our meetings. Instead of every representative going to Washington, D.C., they get to do it from their home state and do it by Zoom.
Yeah.
That'll save a ton of money on travel. And also change it to where the representative is paid based upon the state's rate.
Rate, yeah.
Instead of getting it, what did they make? $225,000 a year. They ought to lower it. Like right now, I think. State senator is $35,000 a year. And now to be fair, if they knocked it down to 50 or 60K a year for our representatives.
Yeah.
And put in rules to make it so there's no insider trading, because that's how a lot of these people are getting rich.
Yeah.
They vote on a project, and then they find out that company is on the stock exchange. Oh yeah, we need to buy their stock. Their stock goes up, and they make a crap ton of money that way and become millionaires overnight.
Let me ask you a question. Getting back to what we've been talking about as far as the assassination tip. Do you think this will have an impact on who he chooses for his VP now?
Possibly, because now it's not imperative that he needs a woman vice president, because one of the people considered is Tulsi Gabbard,
right?
Because she would pull all the single or the moms, the liberal moms, into voting, or the independent moms to vote. But I think that, you know what, Lake Pilot is not blue. I need to make him blue.
Oh yeah, I just noticed that.
I look down, I'm like, oh, he's not the same color as him. Anyway, so it may come down to JD Vance. Might be.
Yeah,
or
Yeah, and he's probably, Joey's right. He's probably already got the guy picked, or the person picked, I should say, not the guy, but the person.
Who's the black guy? Tim Scott?
Tim Scott,
That's
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's another one.
Yeah, he's going to have somebody that's going to be able to add to the ticket. I mean, he's got to have somebody that because if he wins the election, which I suspect he will now, is my hope, anyways. The guy that is working for him as vice president is in on the job training right there. He's getting getting his training, and I think he should work. And he did that a lot with Pence too. He had Pence doing a lot of stuff that most vice presidents, they go off and they go to South America. Yeah, they go to South America and cut a ribbon or something. Just get them the hell out of the country and out of the way. But yeah, it's he's going to have somebody that can really pick up the torch, somebody that the party is going to get behind. And then there's one other question that's come up, and this is sort of going back to which we haven't touched on at all, and that's Biden's press conference.
Right.
I was not aware that a former vice president could be from another party. Could be a former president from another party could be the vice president of the sitting party.
Well, actually, that has happened.
It used to be the way. Yeah, it used to be
early on. Because you voted for vice president and you voted for president. And then they finally combined those two to where it's a appointed seat. However, if you go back to Abraham Lincoln, Johnson was a Democrat. And then he switched to the Republican Party.
Well, if you go all the way back to Adams and Jefferson.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Jefferson was the vice president. Jefferson ran against Adams in the first Adams, the first time that Adams, he ran against him and he lost to Adams. The second, the person who was second was the one who became the vice president. And that made sure that both parties had good representation in the White House or in the Capitol, because the White House wasn't quite there yet. But
right.
But and that's the way it was. And second runner up, well, that's the vice president, and maybe that's the way it should be. I don't know.
I don't know. I like it better this way because, like you said, it's building up the bench for the next person who could.
That is true. Yeah.
Not only that, we had a few cabinet members become president. One of them was secretary of the Treasury, and then there was one that was vice president. But it's usually cabinet member will run. President.
Yeah. Like William Taft was. I think he was. I'm trying to think.
Yeah, he was.
He was a cabinet member. Yeah, he was cabinet member for Teddy Roosevelt.
Yes, you're right. Because Calvin Coolidge took over when Warren G. Harding passed away.
Right. And then. When McKinley was assassinated, as when Roosevelt, Teddy Roosevelt took over.
Bully.
And he I think he ran 2 terms, and he was running for the 3rd term under the
the Bull Moose Party.
Bull Moose Party, yeah.
And Taft came in last because Roosevelt came in second and Wilson came in first.
Oh, did Wilson win that year?
That would be 1912.
Okay,
because he served 2 terms.
Yeah, because Taft, Taft was the president right behind Roosevelt.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But then when Roosevelt decided he didn't like what he did, he decided to run against him as a third-party candidate. So
And he was
technically,
also almost assassinated then too.
yes, he was shot, and he'd written this big, long, thick speech, and he had it in his pocket when they shot him. They went through the speech and slowed it down, and he was still shot, but it wasn't as bad as it could have been. The impact was absorbed by his speech, which did
His
two
speech
things.
and his eyeglass case.
And his eyeglass case, yeah.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So, and he still gave a 90-minute speech.
Yep.
You know, it's like, and most of the people didn't know it.
Mm-hmm. That's right.
And that just, for somebody who was sort of, they considered a sickly kid, you know, he came a long way around, you know.
Yep. Yeah, he worked on his physique. He was into exercise. Boxing was one of his big thing, and he liked tennis. And he was an avid hunter, and he's the one that started the National Park Service.
Yes.
And one of the first national parks was
Yellowstone.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Yep. And that's where the teddy bear comes from.
Yep. And he was known as trust busting.
Oh,
because at that time there were a lot of companies that were forming monopolies. They were buying up all these other companies.
Right.
And that's what they were going after Rockefeller, John Rockefeller.
Yeah. And Cool Cats, you're right. I think that's a picture. I mean, I saw.
Yes.
There's that picture of him with the blood, the flag behind him, you know, and all of that. And somebody made a political cartoon of it, but it was a good depiction of that. Was in this, you know, one of today's papers, and so, you know, that's an iconic thing. You know, that's going to be an iconic thing. That's going to, it's synonymous with George W. saying, you know, we hear you, or something to that effect.
Yeah, we hear you. Yeah, when he was
hear you.
That was at 9/11.
9/11, yeah.
The bullhorn. And
right.
We hear you. We all hear you.
Yeah.
Yep.
And they're going to hear us too. And I think Trump did two things in that. One, he showed his several things happened. One, he showed he's a smart man. He knows to duck. Once he realized he had been shot, he dropped to the ground.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You know, of course, the liberal media had to say that he got scared by a loud noise and fell.
Right.
You know?
That's right. Yep. Mm-hmm.
And so then so saving himself any further injury by dropping to the ground, and then the whole raised fist and fight. That's going to be iconic right there. And just the fact that he's getting up and he's trying to walk out on his own, even though.
Where's my shoes? Where's my shoes?
Yeah, where's my shoes? Yeah, let me get my shoes. You know.
Yeah.
Which that even makes him more human. That means he stands up there at them damn speeches and takes his shoes off so he can relax.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Because how would his shoes have come off unless he'd taken them off? You know.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You know. Yep. So. It was yesterday's had a lot of moments that will, you know, we'll see. I figure he's got, you know, today and tomorrow, you know, or this week will probably be the, you know, because Biden pulled his ads.
Yes.
You know, and I think they're going to have to revamp that, because I think they went with a lot of vitriol speech, you know, nasty comments. And now they're going to have to back off that, you know.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to work, you know. And and also the Democrats seem to have slowed down talking about replacing Biden. I think they're just going to let him be. Let's just leave it
in the wind, so to speak.
Yeah, because, you know, I think they see that there's really not a good way to spin this in their direction.
Right. Even
Trump showed how he can deal with a situation.
right.
Biden, they'd probably still be trying to pick him up off the ground.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it was by the grace of God that Trump even truly.
Yeah.
That was
well,
so
you
close.
know who told me about it was Dominic. We were getting ready for the show.
Yeah.
And he said, "Did you hear what happened?" I go, "No." And just when he said that, I got a notice from one of my Facebook friends. His name is I forgot his name. Anyway, yeah, he sent me a link and it had the video, and I watched it. Well, and this is before the show got started. And I go, "Holy shit!"
Yeah.
He was talking this way, and then he turned to his right, and that's when the shot rang out. I couldn't figure out where the shot was going. Was it going from his back to his front?
No, it was going from his front to his back.
I see.
It was coming. It was coming. If he was standing facing everybody, it was coming from his right side. And he turned. He actually was looking straight ahead, and then he turned to the left. And when he did that, it took his head out of the shot, and that's why he got nicked. Coming from there this direction. So it came from off of his left side, and it was traveling from left to right as where he stood. So
right.
Joey said he saw it live on YouTube. Yeah. Wow. I think a lot of people saw it because it was all live. It was all being filmed.
Oh, so Trump is now in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Good people.
Yeah, he had said that he was thinking about holding off for 2 days, and he thought, no, I'm not going to let an attempt on my life.
Oh, he wanted to go to the USC fight.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. That fight.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know if he did do it. I didn't hear anything about it, so he must not have gone there. So
yes, he was looking towards the shooter. He was looking in the direction of the shooter when he got shot.
Okay.
He had been looking out front. Then he turned slightly to his
right.
To his right, and that
you can see him turn. You can see him turn to the right, and then you sort of see him flinch as the bullet hits his ear.
Right,
and then he kind of goes like this. Then he realizes exactly what's going on. Then he.
Yep.
And he reaches for his ear. All about that at the same time too.
Yep.
Yeah, you see him flinch. It's he was looking towards the shooter when he got shot, and it was
does that mean he'll be the first president to wear a gauge in his ear?
Oh, jeez.
Well, he's
probably place to put it.
I doubt that he's going to be wearing a Band-Aid on that ear. I'll bet he's going to have the stitches showing. That's going to be his mark of valor. And he's going to wear it and let them know that, hey, they tried, but they hadn't got me yet.
Yeah, that's right. It takes more to take down a bull moose, as Teddy Roosevelt would say.
Yeah, it was just
it's in the middle of. I was going to say, in the middle of all this nonsense, of course, the leftists are absolutely losing their marbles because this guy missed Trump.
Yeah.
But in the middle of it all, there was one man, and he's not a leftist, but I think he all deserves a lot more respect from us now, and that's Robert Kennedy Jr.
Yes.
His response to this, I've got it on a tab on Twitter here, and if you don't mind, I'd like to put it on the show.
Yeah.
Give me a sec, because I think it's the classiest response. Do you have it up?
Yes, right there.
Right there.
Make it bigger.
Okay.
And
I don't know if you can make it bigger.
Well, it says, now is the time for every American who
Sorry.
loves our country to step back from the division, renounce all violence, and unite in prayer for the President Trump
And his family.
and his
Yeah.
family. Yep.
I mean, that's dead on. That's you can't get a better response than that. I don't think.
Yeah.
Right.
And my opinion is the moment this happened, within 30 minutes of this, of Trump being shot, there should have been a knock on Robert Kennedy Jr.'s door saying, "We're your Secret Service detail."
Yes, that's right. That's
Yeah.
a good point, because Biden, he took away his
Yeah.
secret
He
service.
he's asked for it and he's never gotten it. He never had it. He hasn't had it since he was a young man. When because the kid, Robert Kennedy's kids and John Kennedy's kids all got Secret Service protection for a while after. But
Right.
Robert Kennedy Jr., they should have been, because he is a third party candidate.
Yep.
And with his family history, I mean, that's just petty, and that's all it is.
Yes.
And that Mayorkas is, because Secret Service falls under Homeland Security now.
That's right.
And Mayorkas is in charge of that, and he's denied it every time.
Mm-hmm.
They can't deny it now.
Right.
Or they shouldn't. If they're smart, they're not going to deny it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep.
I may not agree with all of Robert Kennedy's ideas, but I respect him.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly. You know, we have.
Yep.
That was such a class response.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah, and I think he deserves our respect, even if he doesn't. And that's the thing. We can not agree with somebody's political point of view and not show him disrespect.
Right.
So we should be able to respect anybody from the opposite side, and that's what this is all about.
Right.
Lack of respect.
Mm-hmm.
They haven't respected Donald Trump since the election.
Well, before that,
even before that.
Yeah, it was right after he came down the escalator. That's when they started in on him. But I remember this vitriol going way back to the 70s, to where if they disagreed with the Republican on something, their automatic response was, "You're a racist."
Oh yeah.
A racist, and then later became, "You're a racist, sexist," and then later racist, sexist, homophobe, xenophobe, and whatever phobe you could think of, and it's like it got worse and worse, and then when Obama came in, it really took on.
Yeah, he was supposed to be the one that was supposed to help bridge the gap. He was supposed to be and the first thing he did, he actually set racial relations back 50 years.
Yes, that's right. Mm-hmm. And then when Biden got elected, what did he run on? "Oh, I'm going to unite the country." And the first thing he did was go bashing these extreme MAGA Republicans. They want to take away your rights, and blah, blah, blah. They want to take your right to an abortion. No, you still can get an abortion.
You never had a right to an abortion to begin with.
Right.
That was never. It's not a constitutional right.
Right. And what we did, what the Supreme Court did, is they handed it back to the states where it should have been.
Right.
And I think 38 states it's legal to get an abortion.
Yeah.
And I don't see Republicans trying to get rid of it in those states. They may have been trying to restrict it, put limits on it.
Right.
Yeah.
That's about it. But other than that, I mean, if you lived in a state that doesn't have it, well, you still could go to another state nearby and have it. You
Right.
know, I'm anti-abortion. But to me, that's up to the mother and her deity or God that she
Right.
believes in. That's up between them. Can they live with what they're doing? Taking away a life of
Yeah.
somebody. And that's a whole different philosophical discussion we can have
Right.
at
Right.
another
Right.
time. And
Well, I am pro-life, and I have my reasons, and I always have been, and
Mhm.
but that's where my beliefs lie, But and that's the thing, we can each have different beliefs, and or varying degrees of how much you believe of one thing, but some may believe a little more in it than others. But we try to sit down and talk, and
Right.
this this was this kind of stuff that's been going on just can't happen. And on top of that, if it wasn't bad enough that they tried to assassinate Donald Trump,
Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Gene Simmons died, or the guy from the
Richardson.
Richard Simmons. Yeah, Richard Simmons,
Yeah.
not Gene Simmons. Yeah, Richard Simmons died.
Yes.
It's been an insane day because two people was Richard Simmons died yesterday, but somebody else famous died yesterday. They tried to take out
Shane.
Trump, and then another famous person or two died today.
Well,
Shane
Dr. Ruth
Dr.
died,
Ruth. Dr. Ruth passed away yesterday.
and Shelley Duvall just passed away.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yep.
It's been crazy,
Mhm. Yep.
But what was funny is it was the day after Richard Simmons' birthday, and I had just seen his post that he put up, saying how he was doing and he was doing good, and then apparently he went to sleep and died.
Wow.
So
And how old was Richard Simmons?
I think 70. I think they said 78.
Oh, okay. So he was slightly older than Shelley. Shelley was 75.
Right.
Complications of diabetes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
And
Dr. Ruth, well, she 97 years old. That's a pretty
yeah.
run.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And there was somebody else I just recently saw.
Shannon Doherty from
Yep.
Yeah, Shannon Doherty.
She was only like 56 or something.
Yeah.
And Jim Inhofe from Oklahoma died.
Oh boy.
He died this week.
Wow.
He was dealing with cancer, and
I see.
yeah, so he passed away this week.
Nice.
And that's from Oklahoma. So
Uh-huh.
and he was pretty well. He was congressman, and then he became a senator, and
Right. I remember.
eventually the senior senator from Oklahoma, and then he stepped down after. I don't know. I think he did 2 terms as a senator, because Oklahoma has a term limit law, and most of our even though it doesn't affect
Federal.
the federal, most of our representatives try to adhere to that, because that is the wishes of the state, and they would just as soon have it too,
Right.
And
Here in Colorado, we have term limits on state reps, senators, all the state, like attorney general, governor, what else? Treasury, secretary of state,
right.
and even down to county commissioners. There's term limits on them. Where before we didn't have term limits. We had a state rep that was a state rep for over 20 years.
Oh, we had one that beat that all to hell.
Yeah, that was back in the 70s, and he was the longest serving state representative, and he was from Denver.
Yeah, we had one here, and he was from I think in my area here, and he served like 60 years.
Yeah, wow, that's good.
Yeah, yeah.
So it was
He was bought and
right
paid for.
about the late 90s when all this term limit stuff, that's what happened. Because if you remember, Roy Romer and Dick Lamb, they both served 3 terms. Yep.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
yeah. So
Yeah, if we could get that amendment where we got term limits on senators, and maybe
Well-
2 terms for senators and 3 or 4 for Congress. And
well, a total
I
of
would,
12 years, so it'd be 6 terms for Congress, 2 terms for the Senate.
yeah,
You know, so because Congress,
And-
the House is voted every 2 years. So
yeah, and strip their benefits. Make
Yeah.
them have the same benefits that the states give.
right,
Yeah.
right.
They don't need to have this gold-plated Cadillac.
Well, it's
benefits.
always upset me that a guy can go in there and get elected for 2 years and come home with better insurance than any veteran who
It's got
served.
to be more than 2 years.
It's got to be more than 2 years now.
I think it's got to be 3 terms.
3 terms, okay.
Yeah.
Well, that makes a little
Yeah.
more sense, but still, shouldn't be getting more than that's only 6 years. Should not be getting more than veterans do.
Yep, that's true. Well, guys, we've done over an hour. I want to thank everybody in the chat for coming. Hope you found this very enlightening or scintillating. And you all have a great week and stay cool out there, and God bless you. Good night, y'all.
Take care,
Good
everybody.
night, folks.
God bless America.